Welcome back. On our interview segment, an aviation expert and former image maker of the defunct Nigerian Airways, Chris Aligbe, is our guest. Mr. Aligbe is of the opinion that the decision of the government is not the best, as each of these agencies proposed to be merged have their specific functions under the International Civil Aviation Organization ICAO annexes. But before then, this background report.
The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority is the regulatory body for aviation in Nigeria. It became autonomous with the passing into law of the Civil Aviation Act 2006 by the National Assembly and assented to by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Act not only empowers the authority to regulate aviation safety without political interference, but also to carry out oversight functions of airports, airspace, meteorological services, as well as economic regulations of the industry, among other things. The NCAA has just faced a re-audit exercise of the CAT1 rating it obtained in August 2010. While the NCAA is the apex regulatory body in the country, the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency (NAMA) is an air navigation service provider with a mandate to manage the Nigerian airspace to a level consistent with the requirements of the International Civil Aviation Organization standard and recommended practices. The agency is also designed to increase air traffic management capacity in order to manage the increasing air traffic volume and simultaneously reduce delays to enhance service quality and reduce cost for airspace users. Finally, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency (NIMET) came into existence by an act of the National Assembly. The Establishment Act of 2003, enacted on May 21, 2003, became effective on June 19th, also the same year, following a presidential assent. It is a federal government agency charged with the responsibility to advise the government on all aspects of meteorology, project, prepare and interpret government policy in the field of meteorology, and to use weather and climate forecasts for the safe operations of aircrafts, ocean-going vessels and oil rigs. The Act also makes it the responsibility of the agency to observe, collate, collect, process and disseminate all meteorological data and information within and outside, coordinate research activities among members of staff, and publish scientific papers in the various branches of meteorology in support of sustainable socio-economic activities in Nigeria.
This week, we heard of the federal government's decision to merge the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, and of course, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency. When you heard this, what readily came to your mind?
I was shocked to the marrow. And since then, I've kept wondering how the government came to that decision. First, NCAA is a regulatory authority. NAMA is a service provider. NAMA is supposed to be regulated by NCAA. And so, if you go and take a service provider and merge it with a regulatory authority, are you talking about self-regulation, or are you going to still see that effective regulation of NAMA as an agency, as a service provider? I look at NIMET. That one is much more bewildering. Because NIMET, you merge NIMET, put it under aviation. It shows that proper thought was not given to the functions of NIMET. Yes, NIMET started from aviation. But today, NIMET, globally, meteorology globally is not just a matter of aviation. All that it does, NIMET does now, do the forecast for flights, brief pilots, give the airlines what the weather situation is on a regular basis to ensure smooth flight operation. But the larger job of NIMET is in agro-meteorology. With what is happening, climate change, and the devastations we have suffered over the period, is in marine meteorology. Oil area construction, the construction industries. There are so many persons who use NIMET services. Only a little, not even 25% of NIMET services are required in aviation. So why do you take such an agency that is supposed to stay and grow on its own and eventually become self-sustaining? Why do you take it and just merge it as if you were a carpenter joining this and this? And even if you were, it is good to take the same, take Mansonia and join the Mansonia. Even all the aviation parastatals, within ICAO and EXIS, you will find something in the area of airspace management as it refers to, as it pertains to NAMA. You will find in the area of aviation meteorology as it pertains to this thing. We are heading ICAO. We are heading AFCAC. Many Nigerians don't know that Mrs. Sosonya is there in Dakar as the head of African Civil Aviation Conference. So in Africa, we are heading the African Civil Aviation Conference, which is an affiliate of ICAO. At ICAO level, international level, we are heading them. Before you take these decisions, go seek information from these people and say, look, we are thinking of this. How will it go? Even if you don't want to talk to those of us who are here, who are in the industry, to say, look, don't do this because of 1, 2, 3. If you think you don't want to listen to us, you have people out there you can listen to. And you should address them because we're embarrassing ourselves, we're embarrassing them, and then we're putting ourselves down in the global aviation industry.
All right, if this idea goes forward, especially with the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority Act, because I know that the Act was one of the things we used to close one of the age-critical requirements at that time, primary aviation legislation, and now the FAA has just left here, and we're talking about merging the agencies. What do you think the FAA would make of us?
Before the Cat 1 certification was given to us, FAA came here, looked at our entire system, and and confirmed that the system is good and can be relied upon if it is run. Their fear was that it is likely that government will interfere with the regulatory function and with the document, NCAA document, Civil Aviation Act. When they did this, they wrote that President Bush now wrote, before he gave a confirmation to Cat 1, wrote to our then president, that was late President Yaradua, seeking from him to confirm that government will not interfere with this document, with this system as it is, that they will implement it and use it as a basis for regulation. President Yaradua wrote to Bush confirming that the government assured him that the government will not interfere with that document. That letter is within the system. Government system is even within with stakeholders, and this thing is there. So these are some of the things. So what is likely to happen is that if we do it, again, this kind of thing, we raise up issues about the extent of interference and whether we will. They will not believe us that tomorrow that we are not going to interfere with it. And they just left here. Immediately after leaving, we announced this merger, this funny, as far as I'm concerned.
The decision to merge these agencies, will it be going through the National Assembly?
The National Assembly can consult anybody. Like I said, the leadership, either executive or the National Assembly, can consult ICAO. We have a direct access to ICAO. They can consult AFCAC. We have a direct access to, since we are the headship of AFCAC. If they don't want to talk to the industry, they will get information. Even at the National Assembly, I know that the Senate committee chairman level, he has access to his colleagues in the US, to FAA. And so we can consult, they will consult. And if they do consult, they will find that it is not possible to go ahead with the merger. That's what, if they do this, what will come out of the National Assembly is, sorry, this merger cannot go on. Jonathan, no matter what you have to say, Jonathan's administration has done by far better than all other administration before him put together in the aviation sector. We give it to him. But that's why he should take care to take decisions that will advance what he has done.
Getting familiar with the new terrain is what has brought the Supervising Minister of Aviation, Dr. Samuel Ortom, to the Enugu airport. As he hits the ground running, a look around the recently remodeled terminal is first, then the inspection of the ongoing pilot's lodge, as well as the newly built Pilgrims Terminal. The Enugu airport is also housing a new international terminal, one of the 5 to be built across the country. While work here has progressed considerably, meeting the timeline is a big deal.
I can assure you and assure Nigerians that this project, we are not going to rest on our hands to ensure that it's delivered on time, that will provide a comfortable and safety aviation industry to Nigeria and make it the best transportation system in Nigeria.
This structure is costing the federal government about 11.6 billion naira. The question is Enugu viable enough to turn over the investment?
When you talk about entrepreneurship, when you talk about industrialization, when you talk about trading, you talk about the Southeast people, this is one area that they are very good and they've been blessed. And I believe that the turnover will be enough to take care of whatever will be spent here.
Before the visit is over, Dr. Ortom shares a picture with a group of primary school children also visiting the airport. This is where our flight terminates on this edition. Please keep in touch with us. I'm Bukola Joe-Oketunmbi. Thanks for watching.